And I was your best friend, and now I'm just losing all of my senses, and I just can't go there. Losing all of my senses, and I just can't go there. Yeah, I was your best.
What's up, guys? Street Reaper here, doing a quick little tutorial. I would like to try to show you how I've set up some of my planes, including the Focke-Wulf and this Atom RC Dolphin. These are set up using a flight controller, and so the flight controller, just as like it is, it's a flight controller. It controls everything this thing needs to fly. It's going to control your servos here, your ESC and your motor coming through the line 1. You got a serial receiver here on the top, so you're going to have a receiver for your transmitter, and that's how you're going to send signals back and forth from the radio control. And then it also is going to do things like GPS, like this sensor here that lets it know the coordinates and locations, height, altitude, speed. You got your DJI or your Cadix or your walk snails. You got your FPV system that you're running. This is just plug and play. It just plugs right into the air unit. I've got a fan on the top to keep it cool, and the camera here and the antenna here. Now, without arming that DJI air unit, it will only go into, let's say, default mode. So it'll still work with the goggles. Your video range is going to be a lot more limited. With it being armed through the flight controller, it allows it to actually get full power and get full use of itself through a little signal wire that's sent from the flight controller. Without that little signal wire sending that specific signal through that specific wire, I think it's the yellow one, but without that, this DJI air unit, you're only going to go about 1/4 of a mile away, line of sight. So a lot of times when I was flying my old P-51 Mustangs, I would literally just have the DJI air unit wired up through a battery cable connector. So basically my batteries would power my cameras. And something like this here, you could plug in a balance lead, a connector, which looks like this one here. And what that'll do is that'll give you an option to do pins like these. You could do pin outs. So let me bring you here. So a lot of times what I would do is I would just plug in my battery to my DJI air unit. The way you could do that without having to run it through the flight controller is you just take any battery that you're flying with. I believe it's up to 6S only. So this would be the largest battery that you'd want to plug in a DJI air unit to, which is totally fine. You could do that. You just take it like this. You use your battery from your lipo from your plane. You plug it into a connector, and this connector, you could choose how much power you want to take. Depending on if it's 6S, you could go, you could do it simple. You could do the first pin to the very left on the top, all the way to the farthest pin, and then you could send those 2 wires through the cable that goes to the DJI air unit. Okay, so looking kind of like at the DJI air unit, this is the connector. I'll tell you what, I've got one here. Okay, actually this is even better. Here we go. I got a flight controller here, and I've got actually an extra DJI unit. Okay, so this is a DJI unit I bought to replace one, and I just don't need it right now. So let me plug this in. All right, I'm going to plug this into the air unit, and then I'm going to also as well plug this into the flight controller. Now, this thing here is kind of like what you would expect from a thing like this. So this is basically controlling everything just as this is, but this has built-in antennas, and it has a built-in receiver, which is it's usually called as a receiver. So it has all that things, and it has the programming for these servos all built in with a little chip, kind of like this board. And so this you could buy, and you could program this to do whatever you need it to on all of these servos, just as you can the same thing with this. But this does not include any way for you to plug and play a DJI O3 unit or a Caddx or a Walk Snail or anything else you have. It doesn't allow you to plug and play your camera systems, and it doesn't arm them for you like this cable will arm this using the flight controller. So without this here, it's really limited on your FPV experience. So we're going to set this down and we're going to circle back to the cable. So this cable, if you buy one of these cables from Amazon, you just buy a a battery, a 6S lipo battery balance lead extension you could buy, and it's like an extension of the regular cable, and it's good for like reaching places that are hard to reach. But you could also just cut one end of it off, and you could do like this here, and you could wire up two wires just a few pins apart, and then there's going to be a red and a black, and what you're going to do is you're going to run that red and that black directly from the battery lead, the balance here, and directly connect it to this cable that comes with the DJI O3 air unit. So you'll take the air unit, you can remove the connector, just pull it out, remove the connector, and on one end, both ends are the same, on one of these ends you want to cut the connector off, and then you want to take the red wire on the very end, and then there's a black wire just right next to it. You want to take both of those two wires and you want to solder them onto the other end of one of these connectors. Just make sure you're cutting the correct end of the connector off. You need the female side to plug into the camera. So you'll plug your DJI into the female side, and your battery, whatever you're flying, 3S, 4S, 6S, no more than 6S, then you could just plug it directly into here, just like that, and you will power up your DJI camera so that you can fly your plane or drive your RC or do whatever you need to do with the camera. That way it will turn on and it will actually send video to the goggles without anything, just having two power wires, just the power on the ground, and it will send video and transmit it for you. Now the trick is that is only going to get approximately a quarter of a mile, maybe a little further, maybe a half of a mile range, doing just power, because that arming signal that comes from the flight controller is actually what tells the DVR and the air unit system to go ahead and go into full powering mode, which means that not only is it full power mode, but it's activating full power, and it's using the full power in the receiver, in the transmitting and receiving signals from and to the air unit antenna from the goggles antenna. That system, when it's not armed, it's just kind of in like a default mode, and it's just kind of just giving you video back and forth, nothing too crazy, not like super great quality or anything. But once you arm that and it begins recording in full power mode, then your range can reach further, sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 miles, 7 miles away, sometimes line of sight. So just a quick heads up, you grab a balance connector from Amazon or your hobby shop, grab that, cut the other end of it off, cut the male end off, cut the dude out, cut him off, and use the female side along with connected to the other end of your DJI cable to your air unit, and just hook those two red and black wires together. And the good thing is even if you have a 6S connector like this one, and you're only flying a 3S plane, well, guess what? You could still plug in a 3S plane to a 6S connector. But if you move this pin too far, then it won't get power. So I would recommend, if you fly 3S planes and 6S planes like me, then you'll want to wire this power and ground wire up to the same as this power and ground wire. That way they make connection even in a 3S battery, and that way they make connection also in a 6S battery. So no matter what battery you're using, you will always have one of the wires powering it. So that's what I wanted to show you, and this is kind of a setup here, fully installed into this Atom RC Dolphin. And this setup has my serial receiver here. I have my DJI camera there. There's the battery tray, the GPS, the pan camera servo, the DJI air unit cooling fan, the unit, the antenna, the serial connector, the USB connector, and then I've got my GPS here wires and my O3 unit wires and my ESC wires running to a little motor. So that's one combination of things. And in this one here, I'm running a 6000 6S as well, and this has a Maytech H743 with the soldered on connections. It's not the Speedy B plug and play, so I don't recommend this one, but I also do recommend this one. This flight controller, it does come with pins that you can use. I recommend using them. And the second thing is this flight controller here is a lot faster than any of the Speedy Bs. The Maytech H743W Lite, that one processes things about twice as fast as this unit can process things as far as information, telemetry, your GPS here through your satellites. It can transmit, I mean, it can compute everything so much faster than these F-Series 405 boards. It has twice the RAM capabilities and all that stuff. So these are nice because these are simple. They plug and play with pretty much everything nowadays in this current time. Whereas the Maytech, it doesn't plug and play like all these things, but you can wire it up to it, and it's just going to give you a little bit more beefed up power as far as you know, if you're running a lot of OSD, if you're running a lot of features, that's going to help speed up everything. And it's just going to be, I mean, this thing is ready to arm and fly within 30 seconds of, you know, maybe 5 seconds sometimes of plugging the battery together. Whereas the Atom RC Dolphin, once I connect the battery to this thing, I still have to wait sometimes 3, 4, 5 minutes before I can fly it because of the GPS or because of the processing that it's doing in its superficial checks or whatever it's doing. So sometimes this is super cheap and it's simple. You don't have to do any soldering. Whereas these ones where you have to solder them, they're a lot faster. I mean, they are instantaneous when it comes to certain things. So yeah, it's up to you guys to decide what to pick from the flight controller in that aspect. But this is like a Radio Master receiver that you would typically find. This doesn't have much capabilities as far as when it comes to what this is capable of too. So this flight controller also includes things like loiter mode. So if you're flying around and you just get tired of looking at the plane, or you've got to look at your remote, you can flip a switch and this will activate loiter mode, and this plane will just fly in a circle for you. It'll just hold its altitude, it'll hold a pattern, and you could choose whether to fly left or to fly right. But it'll do that for you while you can take care of some other things on the ground, or some trimming or setup. Whereas you're not going to get that from here, from Radio Masters or from FR Skies or from anything really. Another thing is this thing has return to home. So say for some reason the sun gets in your eyes or your camera cuts out if you're flying FPV, and this thing just keeps going, right? You're still flying. You're like, hey, I can't see the plane. You just flip a switch and this thing will climb to whatever altitude you set it to, and then it's going to return home and fly directly back to wherever it started from, wherever you armed it from, your position, and it'll fly back to that location, and then you can obviously see it, and then you can flip return home off, and then you could fly it again. Or you can go far as adding airspeed sensors and things like that, and you can make this thing automatically land itself just as well. You have auto launch features, especially with the plane like this with no landing gear. You want to auto launch. So this system allows you to shake the plane one time and then just throw the plane in the air, and the plane will climb and fly itself all the way up to whatever desired altitude you'd like. While you go sit down and put on your goggles, this plane will just climb up to the correct altitude that it needs to be for you. So there's so many features that you can't get from any other systems besides flight controllers, that you can't get them anywhere else. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you're not doing the old school way and plugging in a balance cord into your camera, and not having a return to home or anything to to save you if something goes wrong. So I recommend highly to do a SpeedyBee or a Maytech. Learn how to program it with iNav. So there's plenty of videos. Pick out whatever radio link you want to use. I use ELRS, and that's a single. I mean, it's a dual antenna. There's two antennas here, so they're diverse. 2.4 gigahertz. And that's my radio link on all my planes. I love to use the O3 units. They're just super simple. They plug and play. The cameras are super clear, and they do go quite a ways for the range. They're not very bad for range. But yeah, I do recommend if you're gonna fly FPV, just go with the whole system. But that's how I've flown, and that's how I fly now. So do it is with what you want. But I still say that if you just have to fly FPV, go grab you a balance cord and connect it up to about 3 or 4S power, if you're using 3 or 4S planes or more, and that way you just plug it in and the camera will power on, the air unit will power on. I still recommend you have a fan plugged into a servo channel, even if it's on channel 8. You could put it on the very last channel here, just to run the fan. That way the air unit stays cool. And I've incorporated in both of my lids, there's an air scoop that will allow air to go in right where the fan is. So yeah, super cool. And I was just giving you guys a heads up and a little quick tutorial on setting up the DJI air unit without a flight controller. That's one way you can do it. You can just give it power, straight from the balance lead to the, like I said, the red and the black wire. So you could do that, plug it directly in, and enjoy your flights. All right, take care, guys. Fly safe. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, hit all those buttons, do all that stuff, tell all your friends, and see you on the next video.
And I was your best friend, and now I'm just losing all of my senses, and I just can't go there. Yeah, I was your best friend, and now I'm just losing all of my senses, defenses. Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm getting feelings. I gotta leave this, and I just can't go there. Yeah, I'm just losing all of my senses, and I just can't in our future. 'Cause I don't really wanna lose, no, I won't play